Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're just going to jump right into meal prep. So I have some veggies I need to clean and chop up. I have a rotisserie chicken I need to break down. I'm using it for my lunch meal prep this week, and then also just probably for lunch today. Today is Sunday when I'm filming this. So I'm going to go ahead and shred all that up and cut everything up. I'm trying to use up all these veggies I already had in my refrigerator. So these carrot chips and the celery were all from last week, and the onion as well. So I'm just trying to get all these cut up and used up so I can stock fresh next week. The first recipe we are going to make is going to be a garlic Parmesan lasagna roll-up. This will be for my lunches this week. So first up, we need some lasagna noodles. Now I'm making 3 servings of this. So I did 8 lasagna noodles. You actually only need 6, but I highly recommend cooking extra because they do rip sometimes. So for the rest of the recipe, you're going to need some cooked chicken, a whole container of cottage cheese or ricotta cheese, 1/8 of a cup of pesto. We're going to need 1 cup of mozzarella cheese. I'm using the reduced fat mozzarella cheese. Then for our cream sauce, we're going to need a 1/4 cup of light butter. We're going to need some minced garlic. I don't ever measure that, just kind of toss it in there. 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 cup of either chicken broth or vegetable broth, whatever those two that you like. We're going to need 1 teaspoon of thyme and 1/2 of a teaspoon of basil. Then we need a 1/3 cup of some kind of cream. I'm using a fat-free half and half. Go ahead and use any cream you want. 1/2 of a cup of some kind of grated Parmesan cheese. I love this kind from Simple Truth Organic. I get it at Fred Meyer. And then salt and pepper. First up, we're going to do our filling. So we have our chopped up chicken. And again, I'm just making 3 servings, which is 2 of the roll-ups. I believe the original recipe says 12 servings, but it's actually 1 roll-up is what they count as a serving. I would eat more than 1, so I'm just going to do 2 roll-ups per serving. So I'm just doing 6 of the roll-ups. So first up, we need to take our whole container of cottage cheese or ricotta cheese, whichever one you're using, your 1/8 cup pesto, and then 1/2 of your shredded mozzarella. So I'm just putting about 1/2 of a cup in this mixture. Then we're just going to stir this up. Now this recipe is super messy, so you want, of course, have your clean hands, and if you're a person that doesn't like to get messy when you're cooking, you don't want to make this recipe because it's going to get messy. So we're going to go ahead and stir this up and set it aside, and then we're going to make our yummy cream sauce. Y'all, this cream sauce is out of this world. You're going to love it. So in a pot, we are going to add in our butter. So again, I'm just using a 1/4 cup of light butter. You can use whatever kind of butter you'd like. Then I'm just putting in like a heaping teaspoon of minced garlic. And then we're going to go ahead and melt that butter, cook the garlic for a minute or two, just so it gets kind of toasted and it smells amazing. So you always want to kind of cook your minced garlic like this because it just kind of toasts it up and releases all that flavor, and it doesn't have like a bitter taste. And then next we're going to add in our 2 tablespoons of flour, and you want to whisk this really well. That way it doesn't get, too clumpy or anything. You're going to have it be clumpy, but you just want it mixed up really well, and just kind of cook that flour for about a minute or so. I'm sorry, about 30 seconds or so, just to kind of get that flour taste out of it. Then we're going to start whisking in our broth. So again, I'm using this chicken broth, so you just want to kind of add some, whisk it in. What you're trying to do is break up that flour, and this is going to be the thickening for this. So you just want to kind of just constantly whisk as you're whisking that flour and the broth in there. So just to kind of make sure you're not going to get any clumps. And then after we get our broth in there, we're going to add in our spices. Now, I'm not a huge fan of thyme, so I was a little nervous about this, but after tasting it, it tasted really well. So we're putting our thyme and our basil in there. Again, you want to stir this up really well to get everything all incorporated. And then we're going to add in our cream. Now, again, it's really important when you add in your cream, whatever kind you're using. Again, I'm using fat-free half and half. But you want to make sure that you are constantly whisking because the cream can definitely curdle up or just kind of break down, and you don't want that to happen. So by whisking, just constantly whisking and keeping those temperature, what you want to do is just kind of get that cream heated up as fast as you can. It's the same temperature as the rest of the ingredients in your pot, and that'll help it from getting kind of breaking down. And then lastly, you want to add in your grated Parmesan cheese. I love this grated Parmesan cheese from Kroger, Fred Meyer, whatever store you have. It's their Simple Truth Organic brand. Love it. I use it all the time. Now what you want to do is you want to just keep stirring. Oh, add in some salt and pepper as well, just to your taste for sure. Now we didn't add any salt and pepper in with that cottage cheese mixture because that pesto adds so much flavor that you really don't need it at all. So you just want to kind of whisk this, turn down your heat a little bit, and then let it thicken up. You want to put half of your cream sauce in the bottom of a pan. Now I'm just using an 11 by 7. And then you want to take one of your lasagna noodles. Now I kind of sometimes undercook them just a little bit so they're pliable, but you don't want them to be completely raw or else they won't cook all the way through. But I do kind of undercook them just a little bit so they're not too, they're easier to roll up. So I'm just using a 1/3 cup measuring cup, and I'm just measuring out a 1/3 of a cup into each of these roll-ups. Again, this is messy. I haven't made lasagna roll-ups in so long, and I felt like this was like the first time I made them. Like it was just such a mess. But I never made this kind before. I've never made anything but just with the regular, either spinach or ground beef or something. So this was such a nice change. I was so glad to find this recipe. So you just want to go through all your noodles. I had only one broken noodle, which is fabulous. Sometimes you have a lot, sometimes you don't. But that's why I always suggest just making a couple extra. So you want to put your roll-ups in your pan and then just pour the rest of your cream sauce on top of that. Oh my gosh, you guys, this it smelled amazing. I just tried the cream sauce itself and it tasted really good. I imagine the pesto and all that on the inside. I'm obsessed with pesto. I discovered pesto probably last year was the first time I'd ever had it. And I was blown away by the flavor of it. Turkey pesto, like provolone sandwiches, are like one of my favorite things. So if you have not tried pesto before, don't be afraid of it. It does have a lot of calories in it and a lot of oil and stuff in it, but you don't need to use a lot. A little bit goes a long, long way. So that's why don't be afraid of it. This is going to go into a 375-degree oven for 30 minutes, and this is what you are going to find when you take it out of the oven. Oh my goodness, you guys. Smells amazing. Now I'm going to put one portion of this into a meal prep container, but since I come home for lunch, I don't have to put them in meal prep containers anymore. But I'm just going to put one in there so one's ready to go for tomorrow, and then the rest I'm just putting in another little container. And then these will be my lunch for 3 days this next week, and then the other day I'll just have leftovers or something like that. But highly recommend this recipe. Original will be linked down below. Next up, we're going to make some breakfast burritos. So I have some diced potatoes in my air fryer here. I'm going to use this Kinder's The Blend, which is salt, pepper, garlic. Oh my gosh, this mixture is absolutely amazing. And then we're going to make some eggs. So I have some eggs here. I'm going to use the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse, which is my favorite to use on eggs. I use this on eggs pretty much every time I make them. So I'm just going to scramble up some eggs, add this buttery steak sauce, and then I forgot to show you which tortillas I'm going to use, but it's always the same. The La Bantarita, I have the large ones, which is the newest size, so I think they're called large or extra large. So I'm just going to put in some eggs there. I also forgot to show you my sausage. So I'm using the Walmart brand turkey sausage, which is only like 80 calories for one patty, and I'm using half of a patty in each one of these breakfast burritos. So I just have some eggs in there, using half of one of those turkey sausage patties. And then we're going to add in some of our potatoes that got nice and crispy in the air fryer with that Kinder seasoning. They were so good. I had to try them, of course, and they were really good. Then we're going to add in a serving of the Velveeta Shreds cheese, which is a 1/4 cup. And then we're just going to wrap it up. And when I have these, what I'll do is I'll put them in the air fryer, and it just makes them nice and crispy. Sometimes I spray just a little bit of avocado oil cooking spray on top of them, and then just put them in the air fryer at like 400. I do everything in the air fryer at 400 for about 5 minutes, and they get so nice and crispy, and the cheese melts just enough. They are so, so good. So I'm just going to go ahead and make them all up. So I made 5 because that's how many tortillas I had left. I'm just going to store them into a Ziploc container in the refrigerator all week, and I'll just throw them in the air fryer, and that'll be my breakfast. And that is my meal prep for this week, you guys. So the recipe will be linked down below for the lasagna roll-ups. And thank you so much for joining me for another meal prep video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with our regular daily what I eat videos. I'll see you then. Bye, guys.